Welcome back to Movies on the Brain. I'm Jason, and today we're stepping into the beginning of something big. The Fantastic Four First Steps, directed by Matt Shackman, and starring Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Ebon Bachrach. This film marks a bold new chapter in the Marvel Universe. It's about discovery, transformation, and the fragile line between science and destiny. Let's break it all down and see if this first step lands on solid ground or stretches itself too thin. The Fantastic Four First Steps opened in theaters on July 25th, 2025, with a budget of $200 million. During its 7-week theatrical run, it earned $271.1 million domestically and $244.6 million internationally, making a worldwide total of $515.8 million. Its opening weekend saw it earn $117.6 million, finishing number one in the box office ahead of the likes of 2025's Smurfs, F1 the Movie, Jurassic World Rebirth, and 2025's Superman, numbers 5 through 2 respectively. Its final week in theaters saw it earn $3.7 million, finishing its box office run at number 7. In 1960, on Earth 828, astronauts Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Ben Grimm, and Johnny Storm embarked on a mission into outer space, during which they gained superhuman abilities from exposure to cosmic rays. Upon returning to Earth, they become the superhero team known as the Fantastic Four. 4 years later, the Fantastic Four have become celebrities and are regarded as the world's protectors. During a family dinner, Reed and Sue reveal to Ben and Johnny that they are expecting a child. A few months later, the Silver Surfer suddenly appears to announce to the people of Earth that their planet has been marked for destruction by a planet-devouring cosmic being known as Galactus. After studying numerous anomalies involving the disappearance of planets, the team decides to try to negotiate Earth's fate with Galactus. Tracking the Silver Surfer's energy signature to a distant star system, the planet they encounter is immediately destroyed by Galactus' ship, and the team is captured. Galactus offers to spare Earth in exchange for Reed and Sue's unborn son, as he senses an immense power within him, inducing Sue to go into labor. The team refuses and escapes from Galactus and the Silver Surfer using gravity from a black hole. On the flight back to Earth, Sue gives birth to her son, Franklin Richards. Following a disastrous press conference to explain their failure to defeat Galactus, the world turns against the team, fearing Galactus' imminent arrival. With Franklin in her arms, Sue declares to the public that they will do whatever is necessary to defeat Galactus, regaining public trust. Reed devises a network of standing teleportation bridges that will transport Earth away from Galactus' reach, hiding it in a distant galaxy many light years away. Just as they begin activating the bridges, they are destroyed by the Silver Surfer. Johnny stops her from reaching the last bridge in Times Square, and, having learned her language from their first encounter, identifies her as Shala Bal, who willingly became Galactus' herald to spare her own world, Zen-La, from the same fate. Forced to hear the dying words of the planet she'd led Galactus to, Shala Bal flees in anguish. Using Franklin as bait, the team plans to lure Galactus to the Times Square bridge and teleport him away from Earth, negotiating with Mole Man to evacuate citizens of New York to his underground city of Subterranean. The plan fails, and Galactus takes Franklin from the team's headquarters, the Baxter Building. Sue forces Galactus into the portal using her shield-generating powers, while Reed rescues Franklin. When Sue begins to falter from overexertion, Johnny prepares to sacrifice himself to give Galactus a final push into the portal. Having a change of heart, Shala Bal stops him and sacrifices herself instead, knocking Galactus into the portal and teleporting them both away. Reed, Ben, and Johnny recover Sue, who has seemingly died after exhausting her powers. However, when Reed places Franklin on her chest, his newly awakened powers resuscitate her. In the aftermath, the team is celebrated for their victory. 4 years later, Sue is reading to Franklin in the living room of the Baxter building. After leaving the room momentarily, she returns to a man in a green cloak holding a metal mask, interacting with Franklin. Now let's look at the cast and some of their other roles. Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. Other roles for Pedro Pascal include Whiskey in Kingsman: The Golden Circle, Ted Garcia in Eddington, and Max in Blood-Sucking Bastards. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. Other roles for Vanessa Kirby include Princess Margaret in the TV show The Crown, Martha in Pieces of a Woman, and Beth in The Sun. Ebon Moss Bachrach as Ben Grimm. Other roles for Ebon Moss Bachrach include Richard Jermovich in the TV show The Bear, Gary in No Hard Feelings, and Henry Weiler in The Lake House. Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. Other roles for Joseph Quinn include Sam in Warfare, Michael in Horde, and Prince Paul in TV miniseries Catherine the Great. Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer. Other roles for Julia Garner include Ruth Langmore in the TV show Ozark, Jane in The Assistant, and Gwen in The Last Exorcism Part 2. Sarah Niles as Lynn Nichols. Other roles for Sarah Niles include Simone Bradshaw in Heads of State, Ms. Booker in Rocks, and Head Mistress M. Jones in Still. Mark Gatiss as Ted Gilbert. Other roles for Mark Gatiss include Mycroft Holmes in the TV show Sherlock, Donald in Locked Down, and Giles Winslow and Christopher Robin. Natasha Lyonne as Rachel Rosman. Other roles for Natasha Lyonne include Jessica in American Pie, Megan in But I'm a Cheerleader, and Tanya Pincus in Ad Astra. Paul Walter Hauser as Mole Man. Other roles for Paul Walter Hauser include Ed Hawkins Jr. in 2025's The Naked Gun, Raymond in the TV show Cobra Kai, and Embarrassment in Inside Out 2. Ralph Ineson as Galactus. Other roles for Ralph Ineson include William in The Witch, Dean in To Catch a Killer, and Jim McAllister in Gunpowder Milkshake. Matthew Wood as Herbie. Other roles for Matthew Wood include General Grievous in the Star Wars franchise, Mr. Allison in Instant Dads, and Seal in 2021's SEAL Team. It's not very often that a comic book movie hits all the emotional beats, but this one definitely did. I really thought Pedro Pascal was great as Reed Richards, and his chemistry with Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm was off the charts. Joseph Quinn, who I had previously seen in Gladiator 2, was the perfect choice for Johnny Storm. If you'd seen the trailers, which I had only seen the first full trailer before seeing the film, you just knew Julia Garner was going to crush it as the Silver Surfer. She didn't disappoint at all. Ralph Ineson as Galactus was also a great casting choice, I thought. I love that they went with the 60s aesthetic for the film, too. They gave us Marvel's true first family. CGI with all the powers and how Ben looked was fantastic. Pun definitely intended. The story of Galactus wanting Franklin was incredible storytelling, and the way Vanessa Kirby was portraying being angry about Galactus wanting Franklin was honestly pretty terrifying. Ebon Moss Bachrach was a great choice to play Ben, and as one who hasn't read the comics, the thing looked great with a beard. I love seeing Paul Walter Hauser be able to make his comic book movie debut, even if he wasn't in this for very long. The movie is emotional when you're sitting in a nearly packed theater, and when Sue had died, you could hear a pin drop amongst the sniffles and the cheers when she came back to life. The mid-credit scene is great, seeing Doctor Doom interact with Franklin and Sue going on high alert. Now let's look at some fun facts and trivia about this film. The Excelsior rocket, which Reed, Ben, Susan, and Johnny take to space, was named after the catchphrase of Marvel founder Stan Lee. In the comics, the rocket was named Marvel 1. Matt Shackman reveals that the film takes place on Earth 828, which is named after Jack Kirby's birthday, August 28th. Pedro Pascal revealed he worked on a transatlantic accent for the role, but had to drop it. They had to keep pulling me back from a very mid-Atlantic, early 60s kind of talk. They had a dialect coach that was sort of going to help us get into that kind of dialect. And I took it so well, they were like, more like yourself. Since he was so immersed in the role, Pascal struggled to shake it off. I had a hard time doing that because I was so into the era, which for me was something I had to step into that is so different from what we've seen before. I think that what they've created is something that we've never seen. Shalal Ball was created by Stan Lee and John Buscema and for the first Silver Surfer comic book series, its premiere issue being released in August 1968. In the mainstream comics, she is depicted as the love interest for Nor and Rad, the original Silver Surfer. Rad's version of the Silver Surfer previously appeared in the 2007 live-action film Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. The Herbie robot was portrayed through a combination of a wooden puppet, a remote-controlled animatronic with a functioning head and arms, and computer-generated imagery. Matt Shackman shot the film with as many practical effects as possible, using 2001 Space Odyssey as an influence. Pedro Pascal studied an octopus to get an idea of how to convincingly display Mr. Fantastic's elastic limbs. Pedro Pascal dropped out of weapons to work on this movie. Julia Garner studied the comics and researched surfing to aid her performance as the Silver Surfer. Throughout the film, signs can be seen for a company called Timely Comics. This was the original name of Marvel Comics. This is Moss Bachrach's second time playing a Marvel character, as he previously played David Lieberman, Micro, in The Punisher in 2017. Pedro Pascal called playing Reed Richards a dream come true. Joseph Quinn wore a blonde wig for his role as Johnny Storm in Human Torch. He had shaved his head for his role in Warfare. Paul Mescal turned down the chance to play Johnny Storm for Human Torch. The role then went to his Gladiator 2 co-star Joseph Quinn. Yvonne Moss Bachrach is the first Jewish actor to play the Jewish superhero Ben Grimm. Ralph Ineson spent time ruminating at the top of tall buildings to prepare for the role of Galactus. Liam Neeson, Mark Strong, David Morossi, Javier Bardem, and Antonio Banderas were all being eyed for Galactus. Lakeith Stanfield lost the role of Silver Surfer to Julia Garner. Amanda Seyfried, Bryce Dallas Howard, Margot Robbie, Emma Stone, Megan Fox, Brooklyn Decker, and Kristen Bell were all considered for the role of Sue Storm. Milo Vincent Miglia, sure how you say his last name, Adam Driver, Jake Gyllenhaal, Matt Smith, Dev Patel, Penn Badgley, and Zachary Levi were all considered for the role of Reed Richards. And that wraps up my thoughts on the Fantastic Four First Steps. Bold introduction filled with potential, mystery, and fresh new energy of Marvel's first family. Whether it soared or stumbled, there's no denying this marks the beginning of something larger. As for what's next in the Marvel Universe here on Movies on the Brain, unless something surprise drops, I'll be returning for Avengers Doomsday next year. Until then, I'm Jason, and I'll catch you on the next Cosmic Ride.